Yes, well, sorry.
Let me know when you're ready. I'd like to call the Richland County Natural Resources meeting to order at 9:31. Would you take the roll call, please?
Farrow. McKee.
Here.
Hendricks. Gill.
Here.
Woodhouse.
Here.
Fleming.
Here.
And Brookins.
He's online.
Oh, yeah, I think he's.
Oh, I'm sorry, online. You got 5 here.
Can you hear us, Robert?
Can you hear me?
We have 6 here.
Yep.
Yep.
Can you hear me?
It's unmuted.
I'm unmuted if you can't hear us, there's something.
Can you hear us, Robert?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
We'll continue. All right, for verification of the open meetings law compliance, are we in compliance with the open meetings law?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't read.
Sorry.
And we have a 17-point agenda. I am recommending that we.
Was it something that just had added? Number 15 was added.
Oh. It was, okay, that was an amended, yes, this is an amended agenda. So number 15, you're correct, there's 18 now. I am recommending that we move the zoning petitions, number 8, A, B, and C, to after public comment. That way, if the individuals wanted to leave, they could and wouldn't have to sit through the reports. Anyone else have any changes or additions there or corrections? If so, I'm looking for a motion to approve the agenda with those changes.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Supervisor
Second.
and seconded by Gil. All right, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Then the next on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the August 5th meeting. Does anybody have any questions or comments or corrections on those meetings? I did notice a couple typos on there that, if they could make those changes. On the second page, discussion and possible action, establishment of the agent, the first word should be discussion instead of discussed. And in the next section on Gate Forest residential zoning, the 4th line from the bottom, it says supervisor, but doesn't tell which one it is.
That was only Hendricks.
Okay, so if you could add that to Supervisor Hendricks. So I'm looking for a motion to approve the minutes with those corrections.
So moved.
Motion by Gill, second by Woodhouse. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. So the next item on the agenda is public comment. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to address the committee today?
I'm going.
Could you stand and state your name and where you live?
My name is Scott Burnitz. I have a property in the town of Dayton. It's 20010 Dayton Ridge Road. And I guess I'll start with a question. I received a notice on Saturday. It's postmarked August 19th, and it's a notice of this hearing. And it says I'm supposed to get it 10 days before the hearing. Well, obviously I didn't. So I didn't have any opportunity to contact the zoning office to find out what the petition was, but there's 4 petitions for conditional use changes, I guess. And the notice says that I'm an affected property owner within 300 feet of one or more of these, but I have no idea what these things are. And I had no opportunity to get any information, so here I am.
So you're here, you, neighbor the Borellis, the Borelli property?
I don't have any idea who that is.
What's your last name?
Town of Dayton,
Right. Well, what was your last name?
Ernest. So my land, I have the Carters on the east, and I have Joni and John Shannon Sharp on the north and the west. Scribbins on the south. So I don't know any of the names of these four. It's a three petitions, so I frankly have no idea.
Okay.
What's the deal?
Would you have been the one, Katrina, would you have been the one to send that notice?
No, Jen sends those.
Okay, but somebody from your office?
Yeah.
Yes. So do you know which property would be the adjacent
I'm assuming
landowner?
it's Cook.
Have two in Dayton, so we have, for a rezone for Kenneth Cook. If that sounds familiar, on US Highway 14.
Actually, he's on, they hit where he lives. He's on Crow Hill School, Crow Hill School Road in Kew.
Do you live near Crow Hills School Road? That's one of that.
And Kew,
Crow Hill is a couple
Okay.
mile and a half.
So it's gotta be the other one then.
What about Tuckaway Valley?
I think it was just a driveway, wasn't
I have no idea what happened. I think I might,
Can I see your paperwork?
it? Sure.
Maybe that'll help us. Oh, right here, it says right here. Oh. Oh, no, it just says that.
Is that the Board of
It's all
Adjustment?
three of them. Neighbor with 300 feet of the parcel of land described in the notice.
I mean, I
Yeah,
have a 40-acre parcel.
yeah, and then it lists all three of them.
Yeah, I'm landlocked, so to speak. I have legal easement across Carter's. So 100 yards in any direction puts me in the border.
So this, oh, so yeah, so this is, you live in Fitchburg.
Yeah, that's my
Right,
home.
right.
This is recreational property.
Yeah, and so what is your actual address then? Can you look?
20010 Dayton Mortgage.
We'll get that next up.
Well, maybe it has nothing to do with me.
Well, but you would, if you received it, because it says that you have property owner of one of these three.
I can't get the internet to come up. They look at it.
I mean, I don't.
Because we have three,
I don't know the.
three petitions today. This is the
Yeah.
property of one of them, those are 40s. This is County Z, and this is Tuckaway Valley. What do you need?
I'm turning it into-
Lane.
Chrome to look up the.
Join.
Oh, she's got it.
She was got it, okay.
I'm Q, there's Q coming down.
Yeah,
There's
Scribbins
his,
to the
and
south.
then there's Dayton Ridge and cemetery up in there, so this, you just have land.
I have that 40 acres.
He is here, so.
So I think wasn't there a couple people want driveways or something?
And it could have been, when she did it, it went more than 300 feet. She has a radius thing and it might have picked yours up for some silly reason.
So he doesn't necessarily have property that's adjacent to it.
No.
It doesn't sound like it, so that's where the
Where,
confusion is.
where is this campground?
This one is-
Be by Boaz, closer to Boaz, way off by the gas station over there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
down
so
by
it went-
Lonesome Dove or whatever.
Well, kind of like if you go up Z,
Okay, so here's I got this, my wife goes, they want to put a campground 100 yards from our house. And I said, I don't know, I'll go find out, so.
well, it's way
the
away from
camp
that
prop-
property.
Yeah, this is Tuckaway Valley. So,
I don't, it must have been a mistake that was sent out, when Jen put the stuff together, it must have, she does a radius thing. And I bet you,
yeah, because it doesn't sound like your property is adjacent to any of the three that we're discussing today. You're certainly welcome to stay if you'd like for the meeting.
But, it was a nice day.
I'm sorry you had to drive out of Pittsburgh.
I wonder if we can do like an identification what happened. Because others, homeowners also might have, or landowners might have got notices and just didn't come basically, so. But thanks for driving.
Yes, thank you for bringing that to our attention. And then also why the letter didn't get there in enough days, because if you're supposed to get 10 days notice, it was the 19th that it was postmarked,
Yeah.
so.
Thank you.
So,
Are we done? Am I done?
I think you're good. Thanks for coming.
Thanks, everybody.
Oh, do you think it was related to that one? The cook one? Well, could have been, I don't.
That's
Yeah,
what.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
we'll do some investigating there to figure out why that happened, but. All right, anyone else from the public that would like to address the committee?
If you don't mind, I look at it later, I don't want to stand.
Yeah, that's fine.
About the campgrounds.
Just state your name and
Oh, I'm sorry.
your
Jim-
address.
Jim Dillon. My address out there is 23315 on Z. I don't know exactly where this campgrounds is going. All I know is I got the letter for 300 feet, but nobody sent me a map or.
I got the map here, that would be where,
That's be the next thing to talk on the agenda so we can,
Yeah, yeah, it is actually the next thing on the agenda, but as far as all the documents for this meeting, it's all posted online too. So you can always go to our website and go to the meetings, the board meetings, and then you can go down to, this is the natural resources, and you can click on it there. So all the documents are there.
or call.
For just in the future, if you.
You can call into the, or you can call the office and
Yep.
we'll get you a map.
Yep. Or come in and see us. But yes, that's the map that we'll be discussing. That's actually the next thing on the agenda.
Okay, how do I voice my opinion against this then?
Well, once they start the discussion.
Yep.
They'll usually have the person explain what they're doing. The zoning person will explain why it's coming here, and then.
Then we'll have discussion at that point. You can speak at that point.
Okay,
Is there anything else you want to discuss?
no.
Or just that? Okay. Anyone else that wants to address the board? Okay, then we'll move on to the next thing on the agenda, which is the zoning petition for Borelli's in the town of Dayton.
sure. Hi there. Am I good here?
You are.
Right. So, my name's Andrew Borelli. We're petitioning to get a conditional use for a rustic campground. So it's not technically a campground per se, it's, I think every site is spaced out like every 500 feet or something, so it's, it's pretty remote. We're only doing 9 sites, so it's not high density. But we do vegetables and eggs, and we're trying to do a little bit of agritourism, like a U-pick, that sort of thing, have people out seasonally, and yeah. But we got pre-approval from the state and the township, so that's why I'm confused. I guess I talked to a lot of the neighbors in the township beforehand to kind of express, hey, this is what we want to do, and we had pretty overwhelming support for the most part from like the country store and other vendors in the area that can benefit from. It's not a ton of people, obviously it's a trickle, it's a drop in the bucket, but for us, from a cash flow standpoint, we farm full time, so having social yields that we can actually kind of bank on, if it's a drought year or flood year, we're not getting totally, we have some others, income streams to navigate the hardships of starting a farm, basically. So, but yeah, everything, all the sites are off the road. Like you can't see any of the sites off the road, so it'll be. I'm not even sure you would know it's there if it was happening, but obviously you'll get feedback from people in the area. We just moved here, so we're trying to get to know everyone and not, tussle too many feathers. But that's sort of was part of our business plan in buying the farm. In the first place was to have agritourism as a part of a yield structure for starting a farm. So.
What kind of camping are we talking about?
So it's rustic camping. That's the state's terminology. Basically, it means we can provide like a portable toilet, but technically you don't have to have like all the same, amenities that a standard camp, like a commercial campground would have. So everyone has to backpack in. So it's not like you can drive up with your RV and plug in and have a septic hook. It's just gonna be backpacking, more like trout fishermen, that sort of thing. And we do have plans to do like glam sites. I'm sure you guys have seen that trend, but it's a pretty big market share now with tourism for these canopy style tents, and have people come out and cook some of the food from the farm and do a farm tour and that whole thing, so.
Okay, so we'll have the zoning administrator give us any background or information that she's aware of.
I'm just aware of, he has the appropriate paperwork filled out for us, for the conditional use permit. We went to the town of Dayton, got their approval. And then we also have a copy from the Department of Agriculture, Trade and Consumer Protection for his, giving him permission to have this campground. And I spoke briefly with him on his septic plans, just because I was curious. I was new to it. I wasn't aware of the full plans, and there will be a portable restroom available. So that's the background I have. And then we had 2 people that could not make it today that we had emailed us. So
We'll talk about those.
I don't know when you'll be.
Yeah, yep. So what we need to do, I guess, right now is just get a motion made so we can get the conditional use permit on the floor, and then we can have discussion after that. So I'm just looking for a motion to approve the conditional use permit.
I'll make that motion.
Supervisor McKee, second by Gill. All those in favor? I'm sorry, discussion. We need discussion. Anybody have any want to talk about or questions?
I'm curious to hear what your, two would be.
That's all floodplain. I wanted to build a barn out there and.
It's not flood, but none of that's floodplain.
It's not floodplain.
Sorry to interrupt.
Sir, yeah, just let him speak.
Okay.
Do you have a big flat map here? They actually said floodplains across Z last time I checked. So
I just checked, but so we had some sites that we wanted to put on some high spots down by our creek, that there's a class 2 trout stream that runs through our property. Those are technically flood fringe, so they actually said we could put them there, but we decided to just put them all on this other parcel, which is all out of the floodplain, mainly just because they wanted us to get 2 whole different certificates for each parcel, so we would have been paying double to get it permitted. So we said, let's just put it all on this side. But this whole stall, 300 feet above, the top of that hill, the top of that map is 300 plus feet from the trout stream. So it definitely won't flood there. And then, so there's no floodplain on that 37 acres at all.
So your property is in the green.
No, it's the red outline.
It's the red outline. Okay. What is the green?
That's a neighbor.
Yeah, and we own the right above it, which is that square that runs running through there, and there's maybe 5 acres in the floodplain, but the rest is.
Oh, you're talking about on the bottom portion, the bottom,
Yeah. So
right?
you can see the creek where it runs through here, but this is on the high side of the creek, so it's
And I thought I read somewhere in the documents that it was not in the floodplain. Is that in the state?
The
Is that in the
township
state?
they won't let you put
Or Z.
the actual sites in the floodplain, but, that's what it should be.
The township also stated that that it would be they were recommending 6 toilets for the 25 campgrounds. But
Yes,
didn't you say,
we went down to 9.
okay,
And technically with the rustic campgrounds, you don't even need to provide portable toilets, but we just want to be decent, hosts. So, the Boaz Country Store is elected to be a alternative use, waste area for us, because it's within, it's maybe 2 or 3 miles down the road. So if people don't like porta potties, they can go up there, but, yeah, so we only need 1 or 2 porta potties to meet for the 9. And that'll just be based on how often they're booked. We'll fluctuate probably, but
How many tent sites is it gonna be?
So there's 9 campsites, just because they have to be spaced out a certain amount based on the state's rustic camp, it's like 400 feet. So there's only 9.
So similar to like what they do at Wildcat, you just walk back in there for night sky games.
Yep, yeah, we'll have like little
Yeah, that's
clearings
what
and,
they don't,
wood
they
piles.
have one toilet for several
yeah,
nights there too, I get it.
but they just use probably like a pit or a privy, or they probably have like a pit system, or, so we'll be doing, you know, you can see Z runs through there, the porta potty would be close where they can service it from the, you know, pop in and whatever, weekly or bi-weekly.
So there's gonna be no electric out there, it's gonna be.
Nope,
It's not
yeah, so
plugged away, that's the key. You know, where-
there's a spring which people can use at their own discretion, but
I should-
Where will the campsite be at? Will it be
So-
lower open area down there?
can I grab this map from you again, sir? I only printed one. Okay. See. So the rustic campsites have to be like 500 feet from sea.
Okay,
So everything's set back.
right, okay, but there, yeah, okay, so
So there's like no houses, there's like no.
right, yeah.
So everything's pretty secluded.
How far did you say it's from the Boaz store?
Maybe
That's
2
around.
miles. It's right, so we're, you know, Tuckaway Valley, and then it's, you just go straight down and then it's 14. So I think that might be 2 miles or, but
Yeah, it seems like it's farther than that.
that's 3 miles.
Sir, is your intent to rent to deer hunters too?
Potentially, we would probably rent out the whole, if someone wanted to private hunt 37 acres, but,
How do you intend to educate your renters?
for
on
hunter
property
safety.
lines.
Oh, well, this is all, most of our property is fenced, or it has remnants of a fence, so it's pretty easy to know. And a lot of the property lines are just steep cliffs, so you can't really,
Well, there's an adjacent property that had campers at one time.
oh, really?
And they didn't seem to pay attention to property lines.
Sure, I mean, so we're getting goats, at some point to manage some of the invasives in our lot, so we're gonna fence, we gotta perimeter fence our whole deal, which we gotta meet with our neighbors, because none of the neighbors have been really, there's a lot of maintenance and upkeep on the fence that needs to happen, but I would say 3/4 of our property is still fenced. Not fenced for goats, but fenced for obvious perimeters.
They use Onyx Hunt, all the hunters, like we have people come and hunt, there's an app and they know exactly where they are and whose property they're on. It's called Onyx Hunt,
Yep.
all,
Yeah, most of them use
most
that,
hunters
but
use that.
we would just let someone
It's like
know.
right now, I know where he's talking and where all the neighbors.
Our demographic isn't
My
hunters per
property.
se.
Yeah, I know. what you're talking about.
Uh-huh.
That's what I would think they could.
In the past, that's not been true.
We've had,
Okay. So you understand where I'm coming from.
right?
I want safety for my family.
Yeah,
If they spot a deer on my property, they're gonna shoot it.
That's
You know, who's kidding who, you know? I mean, they're not gonna look at that fence, they see a nice buck on my property, they're gonna kill it. So that's
What did you, I didn't catch your address for your.
23315,
22?
23315.
So your property is adjacent?
I'm trying to figure this out, it's kind of confusing. So you're west of Z,
Yeah, what was your last name? Because I know,
Dylan.
okay, so our only neighbors are Stickelstead, and now would be Jerry, which would have been Max Hunter. And then I'm pretty sure it's Stickelstead, all that is bordering our whole, at least that's what I was told when we bought it, and we just had it surveyed, last April, so I'm not sure that we are direct neighbors. I think it's because you're within 300 feet, like they were saying. You probably just got noticed because it's somewhere in this area, but
Kid.
However, Dennis Stickelstead did send an email to, and said he was unable to attend the meeting, but he does have concerns. His first concern, it says, is safety due to substantial hunting done on his property by himself, family, and acquaintances. And it directly borders the proposed campsites. His other concerns are fire hazard from the campsites, access for emergency vehicles, noise problems, trespassing, bike, ATV, automobile traffic, parking. And you just said how many sites and exactly where, you obviously explained that. And he's worried about devaluation of his property as well as surrounding properties and interruption to wildlife. It says he purchased 102 acres in 2015 for the seclusion of this area on a dead-end road. This area is currently optimal for wildlife and hunting purposes. Campsites will be detrimental to that. So that's his take on this. What is your response to that?
I would say it's a pretty big chunk of ground out there. I think 9 campsites won't really be, if anything, it'll push the deer on other people's property, which would be beneficial if you're trying to hunt. But, you know, my qualms as a farmer, I mean, it's zoned ag, forestry, that's how I make my living. I get people have recreational rights and you buy property, you want to hunt, and I'm 100% into hunting and that whole deal, but you know, when we're trying to pay our mortgage and we're farmers, and agritourism is it's a very high margin activity that more farmers should be considering. It's hard for me to be like, you know, and that's why we're not doing 20 or 50, it's 9 campsites, and that's if all 9 are rented, there may be 3 or 4 people camping out there. You know, the deer are used to UTVs, like they're used to us, like we're not that remote in this area where I think we're gonna affect hunting per se. But as far as safety goes, I would say, one, we probably wouldn't even be renting a ton during open season. We may even shut down that if it's that much of a concern. More of our camping would be done in spring, summer, and you know, hunting is kind of a cold. It's sort of flip-flopping the season, so.
What about access for emergency vehicles?
So we have the driveway right there on C, and then we'll have our UTV if someone did need to get pulled down from the ridge, but it's just like if you go to a state park or wherever, if you're in a remote spot, it's gonna be, you know, we're gonna have to, you know.
So how are they gonna get the porta pots in and out of there?
So it's right off the highway.
That's where you'll be putting those?
Yeah, the porta potties in the parking lot, which would be a small, you know.
And how-
cars.
So how far will they have to walk to the campsites?
It will be at least 500 feet to the first one, so it'll be a pretty good hike. So we'll probably run people's stuff up and have maybe some supplies up there where people can, you know, not have to backpack everything up, but they'll have to bring water, all, you know, whatever food they're gonna eat. It's more of a adventure type of camping.
Sir, they aren't going to be hunting in your campground.
No, I mean, as far as like, if we were gonna rent it to a hunter, we would close the whole thing down. It would be like, these people are hunting this weekend. We wouldn't book any sites.
But it looks like they're dependent on hunting on the neighboring properties because if there were campers on these sites, they certainly wouldn't allow hunting on that camp.
I'm not sure I mean, if they were hunting like right up against our property during that week, we could just shut down, you know, there's a hunting season's a pretty tight window. So I mean, as far as not being able to do it at all versus just, you know, being somewhere in the middle, but I haven't seen anyone hunt out there once. Like it's pretty, you know, it's pretty hard to get back there. Some of this, like that slope on this side no one's hunting up there.
I have 5 family members that hunt right across the road.
Across the road? Right, so they're across the road from the property?
Mhm.
Well, that would be no issue. It'd be no less safe for me to be farming there.
What I'm saying, they aren't going to hunt on your campground with campers in there, I would hope.
Well, no one, our property's private, so no one can come hunt on it unless we,
That means you're dependent on hunting on the neighbors.
what do you
Or
mean?
public lands or other private lands.
Yeah.
That's not the only choice.
We don't let people hunt our farm. I mean, we have pigs, we have livestock. No one's over there shooting animals when we're.
I think one thing too that he's saying is he could shut the whole thing down and rent the whole thing to just one camper, so there could be 3 people camping at the bottom of the hill, they could still hunt the rest of that property. And you gotta take into consideration as well, for neighboring properties and for them is knowing what you're aiming at, knowing what you're shooting at, making sure target identification is key. You know, so if there's people hunting around there and they have a big issue with it, maybe he will shut it down for the whole days gun season or muzzleloader season as
Yeah, how
well.
long is the hunting season exactly? What is it?
9-day gun season, but then there's doe hunts and there's muzzleloader hunting and stuff like that.
Right.
You know, so basically, no, he's not trying to promote anybody hunting on anybody else's property, you know, because he's not gonna rent that out to, you know, 9 campers and then they're gonna be hunting this little corner back here, you know, and shooting on everybody else's property.
Yeah.
I mean, I've hunted smaller sections than that and never shot one deer on anybody else's property.
Adam?
So, just so that we kind of back, I just want a clarification, point of order type thing for myself. Hunters are not the primary target audience for your campgrounds,
No,
correct?
no, like family to come
Somebody
like
wanting
feed cows
to
and, yeah.
live the agricultural experience, maybe feed your chickens in the morning, give them some farm
Yeah.
fresh eggs that they bought up front during the summertime.
Yeah.
And then send them back to
Yeah.
Madison, Milwaukee, DC, wherever they're from, right? I'm just trying to capture what our
100%.
true target audience
Yes,
is.
yes.
If-
And a lot of the people will be our cut, so we do a CSA where we sell to 100 families in Madison and Rockford, Illinois. So some of those people will be coming out, bring their families, see the farm, see what, you know, take part in it, that whole, you know, that buy-in as far as, you know, it's not just dollars and cents for us as far as trying to make money, it's community building, getting projects done, getting people exposed to, like you're saying, the agriculture, like the old way of life, milking a cow, that whole, you know, hard work.
Thanks, I just,
Yeah,
I think
for
the
sure.
hunting thing kind of went.
Yeah, I
down
shouldn't
that.
even, I mean, that's like a, if someone was like, hey, we'll give you a lot of money to rent it, we want to book the whole thing and hunt it, sure, we'd be open to it, but as far as the business plan, no, hunters are, you know.
You know, one of my arguments is, I bought that property about 45 years ago, and it's absolutely gorgeous out there. That whole Duckway Valley is gorgeous. And now I have plans to build a house someday, and now I'm gonna be looking at 9 porta potties. You know, instead of looking at my beautiful property and the neighbor's beautiful property, I'm gonna look at, you know, would you like that?
Because you're right across the road.
Yeah.
From where?
I think Ludwig is right across the road from me, if I'm not.
Well, I'm
right in the view.
up on the hill there where I can see the,
But, Letty,
yeah. So that's,
It's
part of
only
my-
one, it's only one porta potty though. It's not
Well,
just-
then there isn't enough, and you're gonna be pulling the property. Because these people aren't gonna be carrying that stuff out, I don't care what anybody says. No, that's a messy thing, and
Well, then we won't ask them to come back to stay. I mean, if people are not, I mean, it's just like any business, we'll be responsible to clean. I run restaurants, you clean up, you have dumpsters, you keep things tidy. If anything, our land will look better and more cleaned up because I have revenue to do what I, you know, I'm not just chasing, you know, selling radishes on the street. I actually have some cash flow where I can clean up some of the debris that was left from the last 50 years in our farm, and et cetera.
I don't wanna be looking at dumpsters either, I'll tell you that.
There's other people too that would have to say the same thing with you building a house up there, you know? Like, I like the land just as much as anybody does, and one thing that I don't like seeing either is people building houses all over the country, but people want to retire and stuff like that, right? Have views. Well, he wants great views as well. I want great views. There's other neighbors that may say, well, you're building a house there where I was looking at that whole hillside, you know, for the last 20 years. So you kind of got to look at it from both sides, you know? I mean, I want to build a house in the country too, but also I don't want to be near people either, near around houses and stuff like that. You know, and I get that's what you want as well, and we all want to see that as well, but you gotta kind of look at it from both views, you know?
Yeah.
So like you said, he's got one porta potty and they're not campers. They're small little campsites where they can pack a tent in and do stuff like that, so.
Yeah, but looking at a house and looking at 9 porta potties is something different.
He just said there's one porta potty, not 9.
I don't believe that, but not.
Well, this is what we're given the approval for, so this is part of an approval process. He comes here and he makes an application, and this is what he said he's gonna do, and if he doesn't do that, then it's a problem. But this is what what we're trying to approve here on our committee, and if he puts 9 porta potties in, that's gonna be an issue, you come back and talk to us.
so who does the enforcement when it extends beyond what?
State.
This is what's called a conditional use permit, and if there are issues, then they call the zoning office, they would come to us, And then we would have to go investigate and or if we have to see something that's not, we've had some other ones lately that we're having to call their conditional use permit because they're not following what's in it. So they can always, that's when they would conditional use permit, if they're not following it, it can be pulled. This is not a rezoning, this is a conditional use permit.
And how long is the conditional use good for? Forever?
As long as he owns it. If he sells it, then the conditional use permit goes away and somebody else would have to. But yeah, it can be pulled at any time. So if there are things that they're not following that are in the conditional use permit, it can be pulled. And then the county could take action saying they're not following it.
We come to your office, Kathy?
Yep.
What about debt cap licensing? Is that required? for-
Yep, I just got it.
That he's already been approved and,
Yep. Trina has it.
and did we determine that it is not in the floodplain?
Correct. If it went across the road, then it would be in the flood.
Can I ask you a question? Sure. I want to have you show me on here where.
Sure.
If he's on the west side of Z, then I was wrong with the floodplain.
Yep. Yeah.
Even though by me,
It'll go where you is the floodplain.
it is floodplain, even on the other side of Z, so.
Yep.
But up where he's at here,
Yep.
I was mistaken, so I take that back.
So the campsite we started.
I see this little road here.
There's like an old logging road.
I never saw you before.
You don't have. I'll tell your name twice. That's right. You're talking about, when he's saying this, that's right. So it's right here. and
Yes,
I
I
could
could.
My grandkids.
And then they're hunting.
Finally, there.
Okay, so you can look at it from right there.
Well, no, so the campsite start.
Yes.
What do you?
Well, yeah, I see all the wood there.
Yeah, you can't see. This was like 300 feet, 200.
Yep. And then that's what the email says in the course.
If people like put to us, well, okay, put all this up now, wheels there.
Well, I think.
So if you're gonna, you put them up
Yeah,
here,
this
they
is
would
a
be.
good
like-
Yeah, you won't see any, that's all right.
That's what I went.
No.
I was always saying, yeah,
You won't see it if you go back there.
So your discussion is that you won't see it from the road? Is that what you're?
Yeah,
Well,
as far as
Put this thing in a big wheelbarrow, you go back there and nobody sees you. I don't know. I'm just learning about it. I don't know what type of camping. You're inviting, I'm not gonna.
Or for us, like, we're trying to make the place more beautiful, plant trees and just make it awesome, like, but we need money and investment to do that, so. Yeah.
Okay.
Tough question.
Okay, the zoning administrator is gonna make a statement here.
I just want to clarify one thing. On the application for, from the DS or DA,
Yeah.
it says 2 portable toilets.
Sure.
So I don't know if they're, if they want.
They said, like, based on like, recommendation on Nature's Way or whatever, but we were gonna do 2 anyways, because sometimes you need 2, right? It doesn't even matter,
Yeah.
you could have 2 campsites, sometimes you need 2, it's an emergency, so.
Okay.
That's what I told, I was like, they're coming out, we should have 2.
Okay.
But yeah, definitely not 9, and we already have a dumpster on the phone, like, we already have all that stuff currently, and, all of our neighbors have dumpsters too.
I just wanted to make sure that they wouldn't need like a modified update saying that you only wanted 1, but if you do plan on doing 2.
Yeah.
And,
2 with us, that's on that. We've been working on this from, like, my first email to Richland County was last February, right? So, I'm at this point, I'm like going through emails and trying to find all the same stuff, like, I don't know.
so as far as the portable toilets, what is the plan for those? Will those be emptied and cleaned every week?
It's based on their recommendation, but like, so we just let them know, like, hey, if maybe they're doing it every Monday, because the weekend's the busiest, so then they reset it on Monday, but we'll clean them, and then as far as when they come up, it's just based on age.
Use probably. Yeah, I just know the town of Dayton, recommended they wanted them emptied and cleaned weekly.
Yeah, I'm assuming in the summer, these get.
What is currently on the property then? Where is, like you live on the same property?
No, we own across on the other side of the road. And then, right now on this property, we just have pigs and we're getting, some vegetable row crop production established there. Yeah, just pigs right now.
What other questions does the committee have?
There was one more letter.
Oh, yes, I meant to bring that up, thank you. We did have one other, landowner that, from the other adjacent landowner, Mason Wagner.
Yeah, he's the corner. He's this kitty corner on the other side of the creek.
So he's a part of the green?
I think he saw the campground thinking it's within eyesight, you can see the front half of the property, but, I wasn't able to meet with him until the campsite will all be back in the hillside where you can't even see him.
He's not in the house there in the corner. I think it's the stuff that surrounds that house in the corner, correct? He owns across the road straight.
So Jason is that.
Yep.
And then
Yep.
right across the road is Jason.
He says his address is 18280 Tuckaway.
So it's just above the green outline. It's right there with the house.
This is where
And just from his letter, it says that his first concern is safety. Someone gets hurt, how you gonna get them out of the woods, basically? Because you can't drive an ambulance up there. We did kind of address that. And he also just talking about traffic and what that's gonna bring to the township. And trespassing. He's worried about trespassing, people crawling through the fence and wandering onto someone else's property. And then he wants to know what the plan is for rifle season. He doesn't want to have people wandering around with no blaze orange on and something
Yeah.
happens.
I don't think we'll have a ton of people wandering around per se. We'll have a map. Like, we need to have a map anyways with that cap. You have to have like perimeter jotted out. And like I said, most of our property's fenced. It's not like, you have to go out on the sea to just wander around like you. So I don't know how someone would just, we'll see, and that'll be part of our management of our guests is make sure they know the rules and,
I do have a suggestion, like some people have done is maybe mark, every so many feet mark, this is something, like somehow marking.
we have barbed wire that runs.
Right, and I realize that, but there's some people that don't realize,
Right, not everyone's a farmer, they don't.
they don't get the boundaries sometimes.
Yeah.
And they just, some kind of sign that says,
Sure.
you're leaving,
Leaving the farm.
you're leaving the campground, type thing.
But I think rifle season is pretty cold. I don't think people are gonna be backpack camping.
No, but I think,
during rifle
yeah,
season.
but I'm just saying for their concern, even if somebody just walking around,
Right.
so.
And Mr. Wagner's other concern was land value, saying that he feels it's gonna lower everyone else's land value.
I think that's kind of a bunch of.
Well, we definitely need to discuss the landowners, adjacent landowners' concerns.
Sure.
What are your feelings now that we've had some discussion?
On the land value?
Well, just on the campground itself in general.
Excellent, so. They want, I just don't like the whole idea of it. The people aren't gonna be property owners, they aren't gonna care about anything. I don't care if they're rustic campers or what they are, but they're not gonna respect other people's property. Anytime I got involved with campers, they don't care, party times.
Well, I'm guessing you're gonna have rules as far as.
Yeah, we're gonna have, say quiet hour, pack in, pack out. I mean, if someone leaves stuff there, we'll be pretty confrontational, not let people come back. It'll be, we're not gonna be booking just through the public. We're gonna vet through, Hip Camp, which is like a third party, kind of like Airbnb or campsites. So we'll actually be able to see people. We'll know a little bit, who they are, where they're coming from. It is kind of an intimate thing to have people onto your property. We live here. This is where I spend my time. So our goal isn't for it to be a crazy party, crap everywhere. People to come, enjoy the stars, tour the farm, 37 acres for 9 campsites it's a lot. It's plenty of space. You won't even know they're there. That's kind of the, let people just go do what they're gonna do. And, it's no different than any other campground that's already in existence. I don't think they're bad for property values. If anything, it'll make that area, the country store will have more, I just think revenue in general would be better if there's more, added tourism, basically, you picks and that sort of thing. It's just, I don't see that hurting the community. I think that's kind of, for young people to make a living out here and actually own land as the next generation inheriting it, we need, we can't run the same plan that some of these bigger farmers are running. It's, we're definitely a disadvantaged, group as far as trying to farm vegetables, doing specialty crops and et cetera. So, I see it as a benefit, but I understand the reactions, but I just think once it's executed, people won't even know what's going on. So at least that's our goal. And we're, open to feedback and, hey, I don't like how this is going. Can you change that? Yeah, well, we're going to be, as amicable as possible and make sure everyone's quality of life isn't changed, which I don't think it will. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing it,
Is there any restrictions that we could make on this conditional use permit that you would make you more comfortable with having the campground there?
I don't like it at all, so nothing could sway me. Fireworks, drunks.
But we won't have, fireworks won't be allowed. People are shooting off fireworks.
Well, they start shooting them, then you say, okay, you gotta leave tomorrow, but, things like that, you can kick them out the next day, but damage is done.
Do you have a list of what your
I was gonna pull from I reached out to Fireside Campground and she sent me some, basic resources like, hey, this is how we lay this out for folks. But I figured there's stuff online that we can just pull from. And then obviously people will earn the new rule award, get kicked out, and then we'll have to make a rule based on whatever. But our target audience is more families, people, it's not, a bachelor party out. Like, they're not that interested in coming out, like, seeing a cow get milked and picking strawberries. Like, it's more of, like, small families coming out and camping, So, yeah, we're gonna keep things quiet, and it's a big space. I don't think, there's no houses right there where anyone would be affected. You're not gonna hear anything all the way back in the woods if someone's plucking a banjo at night or something.
Well, obviously, we would like to bring in tourism to the community, but we obviously have concerns, landowners have concerns. What is the committee thinking as far as today? Are you comfortable with it? Are you wanting restrictions? We need more discussion. Do we need to find more of what their rules are going to be? What are you thinking?
Well, I know, like, this weekend on the river, this guy that is with Lower Wisconsin Riverway, he does a business, and what he does is, he sets up camp for people on a sandbar, for example. He brings all the stuff in and he has it set up ahead of time. And like one of the couples I talked to this weekend was from Milwaukee, and they purposely just come here because they want to be away from everything, all noise, all electric, they off the grid type thing. That's his business, so I'd be more than happy to share contact information with anybody that wants to know what that type of, they're trying to draw people here. And I know from experience, most people that do this come from cities to get away. Now, I'm not sure. Sounds to me like you're trying to do one of those, like, where people just get away from it all. So I would not be camping in a tent in December or November, but I don't know. And I just want to find the happy medium. I don't. And if you put it back over that area where it's, would the campsites even be seen from the road?
No.
Back, and then what about even the porta potties? Could they be out of sight, out of mind?
Yeah, we're gonna plant, a windbreak, of trees on Z, that whole border of Z's. We're gonna kind of tree in the property anyways. So I mean,
because I know that people are doing this all the time. Like my people I know, they are pretty busy with their business, but I guess I don't know what type of people, like, I get his concern, because we have that issue.
Right.
I hate fireworks because I have animals, so I get all the concerns,
Right.
but I guess I just, like, how you're gonna advertise, what,
Yeah, so through Hip Camp is probably they do most of the marketing, and that's really geared towards people who sort of have that land ethic of, you know, not leaving any crap behind, and I think based on our listing, it will attract the right people just by sharing what we do. I don't think people want to come out to a family farm and see production and see stuff going on, maybe get some ideas to integrate to their little urban farm or whatever they're doing at home. Are there to really like party, and that's just not our, it's not, we're not gonna be selling booze on site, but obviously the country, like, there's revenue in people buying libations from other places and bringing them in, like, it's all, that to me is like the ultimate, like, sort of, it works for all the small business owners in the area, more so than I get a hunter, you're concerned about this one, your precious week. And it is a sacred week for those guys. They look forward to that all year. If we're closing down for that deal for them to hunt, like last year it was crazy in the valley, the people hunting all over. It's nuts that opening day. I didn't see any deer. Like, I'm assuming that's just how it happened. So it was too cold to camp though. Like it was cold in the morning. So I don't think that's gonna affect our profitability to close that month anyways, because it'd just be like opening a restaurant on a Tuesday night in December. It's like, no, you just close, like, so.
Is there any other rustic campgrounds in the county?
No, don't think so.
people that have like cabins with no electric, like you can find them. Like I know a couple that have it out by my brother's land, they have a couple there, they're all over.
And they
When you-
advertise on the same,
Like along the Pine River right now, there's some sitting around. Did you know of them? Yeah, there's people that are doing it, have sites, are you aware of that?
so are they get camp licensed as well?
And there's no hookup.
Just wondering if they're licensed.
Yeah, I think Vernon County, if you reached out to them, I know there's some farms that do, like hip camp listing and but they have like compost toilet, and Vernon County's a little different, I know. But yeah, it's very similar setup where it's, all the sites are spaced out, like, I don't even want the people that are camping there to know there's other people there. Like, we really want them spaced out where you have your own spot and you can just, maybe you have a communal area on top where people can meet new people if they want, but ultimately it's, private camping, and it's up to us to kind of audit who's coming in, and, because at the end of the day, it's like a club. It's like, you don't want, if someone comes in and they're gonna try to truck 100 beers up there, there's 3 of them, it's like, okay, we're not, you guys can leave. It's like, we'll give you your money to leave,
Well, and these people are rated through that app to.
Yeah, exactly. That's
How
what
they
I'm
were
saying.
other.
It's pretty, the social credit aspect of it is dialed in on some of those apps. So, and we probably will book off there through our own website, just with our friends and family who want to come see the farm. It's a great way for them to come and actually have a spot to stay, and they can throw us a little bit of gas money and whatever.
So where are you at in the process then? So the town of Dayton approved it, the state approved it.
Yep.
We're the final step. If we were to approve this today, then when would you be starting?
So I would reach back out to the state because it's been so delayed. I need to figure out if they're gonna make us pay for this year to get it going, or if how we're gonna work that out, because, we missed we were supposed to be on August 1st. We just keep on getting pushed back, so we gotta start construction on it, and then they'll come us.
No,
No, it doesn't. No, because
it's a conditional use permit.
this is a use permit.
Thanks for clarifying that.
Yeah.
I would have been on another meeting, here we go, but I mean, we've gotten great feedback, and definitely, stuff is brought to our attention that we didn't think of before, like fireworks. Like, I didn't think anyone would do fireworks, but we'll have to, you can't shoot guns out here. It's not a free-for-all. Like, we have livestock, we're running a business within a business here, so it'll be,
the thing that I definitely would have liked to have seen you bring to the meeting is, these are our rules.
Sure,
No fireworks, whatever your
Right.
rules are.
sure. Yeah,
Obviously, you're saying all these things, but we would, that, to me, that would be part of the condition of getting this, is
I
these are.
figured DAT cap would kind of, because they kind of force you to have like the map with all the like landmarks so people know where everything's at. And I figured they kind of have, that's why I wasn't sure, like, we got pre-approval from the state, but technically they usually get the county first and then the state has the last.
Mhm.
So
What kind of rules do they have then regarding any of those things?
I think it's kind of all the basic stuff, like it's, their biggest things are like people leaving trash, fire safety. But when they audit your install of the campground, they come and make sure, you don't have like dry tinder where it's like you're having fire, that kind of.
So they would have to, if we did approve this, you'd have to go back to the state.
They come and inspect.
And
So
they would
we
inspect.
We give them like $1,200 and they come and do a full inspection of the whole thing. And then if something's wrong, they say, okay, fix it, we'll come back in a week and go from there, so.
Staff, do you have any comments or on anything stated or anything you want us to be aware of?
Just if there's anything, if you want things put in the CUP, then now's the time to do it.
Right.
Maybe just giving like a certain time frame of, maybe sending us over what your rules will be.
Yeah, I could send over, like I said, I'm using a template from Fireside. She was like, yeah, this is what we found after whatever 10 years they've been doing it. Most common threads, and I think Hip Camp has a resource like that too,
As far as the committee, what are you thinking as far as restrictions?
I think it's time to bring this to a vote. We have approval, we have a rules that will be submitted. We've heard from the neighbors here. I'm ready to take a
Do
vote.
you have any restrictions that you'd like added on this
I
conditional use permit? Because this is the time to add them.
do not.
Okay.
I do not either. I'm ready to vote.
Supervisor Henry?
I just want to be clear, was there any other concerns, like when he's been was there other concerns from?
It doesn't seem like any of the neighbors want this.
Pardon?
It seems like none of the neighbors want this, and think, would you want it in your front yard? No, I don't want it. And other people commented they don't want it. I wish you well. I hope you do good with your businesses, and he keeps bringing up it's going to help the economy. It's going to help OS store to sell a couple of beers. That's all it's going to do. I don't see where it's going to be a big help to the community, so.
Well, people are still gonna be buying gas and going to restaurants potentially, or,
And then
buying things locally.
you saw where it was gonna be, and if it wasn't up and running like during deer hunting, because I don't know people would camp, tent camp, that time you, what were your, any other? 'Cause I saw where the land is, and you have a lot of property, but
Enforcement, I guess,
that was the big concern.
about property lines. And if he's going to upkeep his fences, that doesn't affect me as much.
Because
Others, they might have the.
I didn't understand if they were going to actually hunt off that property. I'm not clear on that.
They haven't made it clear.
So when you have those tent sites there, are hunters gonna actually be hunting on your land?
Let's just say we're not gonna have any hunters, because it's only
That-
a 9-day window anyways. I feel like that's a sticky
No, there's
point.
more than that with bow hunting.
Sure, so is it 30 days?
So see, we have turkey hunters also. That's a big thing around here. So my concern is if that's a concern, and I doubt what you're doing, I mean, this is just my thought. Some people just like to tent camp and explore, ride their bikes, whatever. I just want to be clear, because if we're gonna make rules, that's gotta be addressed, because that's a concern.
So basically, turkey hunting goes from early April to the end of May,
Sure.
almost to June. Bow season starts in, second week of September. So like, I don't know what that is this year. And then hunting seasons technically go all the way through, depends on, I guess, what county you're in, but January 31st. But, so, like I said, as long as it's cold, like I said, I don't see anybody camping out there.
I just don't think we're gonna have
So-
hunters. I think the economics, if it is nice, it would make more sense to rent it to campers than one hunter.
And if you do anything like, maybe something to add would be, leave some maps down there that people have to pick up so they know where the property boundaries at
Right.
least
Yeah,
are
like a
close
welcome
to, you
pack
know.
or something. I think
Yeah.
they
And then-
require like a little plaque, not like a plaque, but like something, when you come in, that you actually see, okay, here's where I'm at. But, you know, barbed wire at this, most of our properties fenced with barbed wire at this height and woven wire. So it's not like you can just go, you know, it's hard to get to the neighbor's property. And then most of it's so steep that you can't even walk it, property lines anyway, so.
Oh, yeah.
So what is your recommendation as far as, do you feel we should put something in there as far as hunting? Or no hunting or during certain times or?
I mean, I think, obviously, I don't think he's gonna be wanting to rent out during the cold season, so I don't think anything like during the firearm season, I think maybe could be kept out to keep the safety aspect down. Bow hunting, I don't think is as much of an issue. Obviously, like you said, you know, you don't want nobody on your property hunting, stuff like that, because you have people that hunt. I would say that if they're not up there to hunt, or if they are up there to hunt, I guess I should say, like, would only maybe rent it to like 2 people that are gonna be hunting together, and otherwise nobody else can rent out the campsites. So if it is gonna be used as a hunting
Right.
thing for like a
We would do
week,
that anyways, because the liability of something getting shot. is
right?
Not something, like, that's just not a risk
Yeah.
that we're gonna take.
So yeah, and if it's one thing to say that maybe that it only is used for non-hunting purposes. I mean,
That's kind of what I was leaning to, is non-hunting purposes.
yeah. So like so they could stay there and still turkey hunt public land around here.
Right.
Or
But
other
no hunting
private
on the property.
properties, but no actually hunting on the property. And I don't know,
Right, so if it's booked, there's no hunting, basically.
yeah, right.
Yeah, that would be fine. And the people who hunt it, it's like my mortgage guy, like he likes to come hunt, so it would be in the winter.
And maybe a recommendation too is if you are renting it during bow season, you know, obviously people should be staying in your area anyways, but wear, you know, possibly some bright colors if possible, if they are kind of hiking around, stuff like that.
Sure.
To ensure safety for people, but like I said, they should know the boundaries anyways.
Right.
And if it's something too that people are, maybe they look at the map and they can't quite see the boundaries, maybe you need to take people around on, you know, and say, okay, well, this is, you can't go over that knoll there, you know, or show them the fences, show them what they should be looking for. Maybe I think, was it you that mentioned the, like, signs saying you're leaving the camping area, or this property over here is posted, you know, posted signs, you know, for them. Be able to.
Yeah, well, I don't think anyone would come off our property onto their property, because they'd have to go across the sea and then go through a new gate through Buddings to go that way, so. Yeah, I don't see it being a major issue, but if it's something that's happening, it's not gonna be a recurring thing, like, it's not like goats getting out onto the highway, it's a little easier for people to keep very calm.
Well, I think we're ready for a vote. I would like to see the fact that if we include on here that if there are hunters renting some of the campsites, that there would be no one else.
Right.
It'd be rented to like one group. of
One
hunter
group,
or
yep,
300
no one else could come that are non-hunters. What is the committee adding that restriction or any other?
I think that's a good idea, and maybe it's such that restriction is that it's no hunting without permission, so that you're granting it specifically in those circumstances. I think that would be easier for you to manage.
Sure.
You know, and then if that's the direction that the committee is thinking here, that's an easier way to do it than say, here's a list of all the combinations of scenarios which would allow hunting.
Right.
You know, I think it's easier for you to manage, say, no hunting, and then have conditions. to
Yeah, that's
apply
cool for
hunt
the whole
Or
campground.
something like that through, that you would manage, that would be a rec. I would recommend.
And also obviously that we would submit us a list of your rules for the
Yeah.
campground.
Absolutely. Yep.
So I guess I'm looking for a motion, an amended motion. We already have a motion and had our discussion, amended a motion with adding those restrictions on there.
I would then make a motion to, approve the permit with the conditions of the rules that we've been added, including the no hunting without an application process through
Sure.
the management of the property.
Motion by Woodhouse,
Second.
second by Gill. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for that very long discussion.
I'm sorry it's so long.
Yeah, no, we knew it was gonna be a long discussion. And if you have any concerns at all, please contact our zoning department. And let us know, like we stated, at any point, that conditional use permit can be removed if the conditions are not met.
Thanks for keeping us informed about it.
You're welcome.
People really
Thank you
care
for
about it.
coming.
Thank you, Kelly.
Do we hear from Robert Brookins, by the way? He's on.
Oh.
No.
Do you want his number?
Yeah.
Wouldn't hurt.
Robert, are you able to hear us? You might be having difficulty.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Okay, so moving on to zoning petition for Wallace for the town of Forest.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone here for that petition?
No, he's working, I think. It's Aaron.
Oh, that's Aaron. Yes, it is.
I texted him.
Julie, can you hear me?
I don't know that we necessarily need him. If you want to just give the background and we can go from there.
Try to get him.
Okay.
So his plans are to rezone land out of ag forestry into the ag residential. And the town approved this based on the survey results. It'll be 10 to 12 acres. And it looks like it'll be for his primary residence. With building a new home.
Have they received the survey results? Because in the minutes it says dependent on,
Yeah, I haven't gotten this.
dependent on that.
I have not gotten a survey. I'm not sure if they have done that yet.
If we can have it tabled until the next meeting, which would be October, to have that survey if you want. That's up to you.
Well, is he available? Did you?
Probably try call.
Yeah, just to see if he's available, just to know that. We could, I suppose we could skip that and go to Cook. Are we able to do that?
Yep, Mr. Cook's here.
All right. So the Cook petition for the town of Dayton.
Morning.
Good morning.
My name is Ken Cook, and I bought some property on Highway Q in Crow Hill School, and it's approximately 10 acres. And I want to rezone it from forestry ag to residential ag. All of it, it just, it worked best just to do that. But that's the first step, so I don't know if there's any questions.
So you're just rezoning to add a home.
Yeah.
Property. Yep, and it looks like it's 10.08. I know
Yes.
one it referenced 7.69, but I think the survey came back as the 10.08.
Yeah, it is. That's what the easements and the survey map breaks it down.
Anyone from the committee have any questions?
Do we hear from the neighbors at all or any kind of issue?
No,
They were sent notifications appropriately.
If and when the home would be built, it would be right in the center. So basically, it's gonna be pretty hard to even know that it's there. And, the township was out and they approved the driveway location. And, actually two entrances were built, one. Yeah, so that's,
Where will the driveways be located? Which road?
in a safe location. The driveways are gonna be, right here
On Crow Hill Road?
on Crow Hill.
Okay.
Yep. And they're easily within the setback of that corner of Q and Crow Hill. And then going the other direction, there is, plenty of view. So they were, there's no concerns with safety.
Okay. The only concern I have is the town of Dayton did approve it on Wednesday, August 14th. However, their proof of notification looks like it did not follow the open meetings law. They, according to their notes, or their minutes, I should say, they posted to the town hall and the website on the day of the meeting and sent out the supervisors, their agendas on the Monday, and they continued with the meeting. However, that does violate open meetings law. So if we were to approve this today, I would suggest one of two things. Either we would have to table it and have the town of Dayton approve it at a meeting that follows the open records law, or we could approve it with the stipulation that when they approve it again at a meeting that was there was verification of that following that law. So whatever the committee would approve, or with whatever motion you would like to make toward that. Unless you have other questions for.
The actual notice was put downstairs
No,
on the board.
no, it's, what they're talking about, the township itself.
Yeah.
They
Town
didn't,
of Dayton.
it's the open, you're supposed to give 20, we're just, can amend the agenda with how long before?
The agenda has to be posted 24 hours prior to the meeting. They didn't do that, so therefore they really technically shouldn't have held that meeting. And so they did approve it at that meeting, so we are just would require that they, at their next meeting, that they properly have it noticed, follow the open records law, and then approve it at that meeting.
And we can share the township.
Yeah, we will let the township know that. Does anybody want to make a motion regarding that? To make a motion that we will approve the petition with the understanding, or after the town of Dayton approves it at a formal meeting. So that was the motion by McKee. Do I have a second?
Yeah.
Second by Gill. All those in favor?
Aye.
Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
And that'll be before the county board meeting, so.
Yep. So we'll contact the town of Dayton, make sure they have it on their next agenda and that it gets approved. So our approval is conditional on their approval at their next meeting.
On this next meeting, are we still,
You're still on, would still go to county board. And we just asked Dayton to go through the proper. They didn't have the 24-hour notice. So it's, they're just saying, the committee's saying, yeah, this is okay. We'll take it to county board, but they want the township to prove it at their September meeting and have it properly noticed.
so I guess what I'm asking, is this gonna be delayed?
It should not. They should just add it to, no, because it can't be approved until September county board, which is the 17th.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, no, we'll have it forwarded to the county board.
We have to approve it here and then it has to go to our full county board
Yeah.
and then they approve it.
September 17th is the next regularly scheduled county board meeting anyway, so this should be able to be wrapped up and taken care of prior to that anyway.
Thank you. So actually, Dayton Township will have,
They'll have to notice it again.
right, but are they gonna have a meeting before that board?
They should be.
They met on Wednesday, the 14th, so I'm guessing that they would be meeting prior to that.
All right.
If not, can we at our county board do the same thing we're doing, a conditional? Or do we typically don't do that?
I would think so, because that's what they did with the appointments at
Yeah.
last.
Yes, okay, yep.
Yes.
Yeah, I would assume we could do that. If for some reason the town of Dayton does not meet prior to that meeting, we could do the same thing at the county board meeting that we did here. And then when they had their meeting, then it would be final at that point.
It would correct itself.
Sorry for the confusion with all of that.
We
just have to follow all of those rules and laws, so.
okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, so on to the agenda, we are back up to item number 7, the reports, so.
No, you're talking about the, Mr. Wallace.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, yes, we have to go back to Wallace, thank you.
Did not get a hold of him. It went to voicemail.
Okay.
He must be in the middle of something.
Okay. All right. Same thing there, we could do a motion and just dependent on the survey results as well for and then once the final survey came in, then at that point it would be approved. What is the committee's thoughts on that? Any thoughts, Mr. McKee? No. Which way do you prefer to do it? Just table it or?
Table to the October meeting or?
Till the survey, till we know about the survey. If you're not aware of the survey, I'm assuming it's not been completed then.
Yeah, or just has not been brought to me, I'm not
Okay.
too sure.
Make a motion to table it.
Okay, motion to table the Wallace petition to the next meeting by Mr. McKee, second by Woodhouse. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carried. All right, now we will go on to reports. Report from the zoning administrator.
Make your first announcement.
So I ended up passing my house inspector and my certified soil tester exams.
Yay! Congratulations.
Happy, I did not pass the second part of the soil tester. So I'm taking those, the pouts in like October 22nd and the second part October 23rd. So I passed the first part, but not the second.
But now we have someone who is.
Yes, and I'm so happy.
certified, So, awesome.
I've continued to be in close contact with Jeff Brubaker from the state, just having him help me out with the septic sanitary part of everything. And then, since the last meeting, pretty sure it was 12 sanitary permits we have issued and 16 land use permits, so not a whole lot of activity, but.
I got a couple things too. The zoning ordinance and the code of ordinance, zoning ordinance and the code of ordinance do not match at all. Between the two of us, we spent probably three days or more going through it. And we sent that information to Attorney Wendell to pass on. I mean, it has like things that are allowed in one type of zoning ordinance, one type of zoning district in another and not where it's supposed to be. And there's just a whole lot of things that are bad. So even if it passed the code of ordinances, I think we still have to follow our existing code because otherwise it doesn't work. So, and so Attorney Wendell said it's either gonna go to the, send an email to, send that to the people doing the code of ordinance. And they're gonna do determination whether they're gonna put it in the update, the one that's going to county board, or we'll amend it afterwards. So I don't think it was ever gone through comparing the two because of that many errors. Correct? You're feeling too?
Yeah.
There's been a few issues that have come up with the zoning. One was, so we had a CUP, a conditional use permit to have a temporary mobile home on a property while they built a house. The person they're buying it on from a contract, this is just one of the examples. Said that the trailer house is sitting there and nothing's been done, and the person knows that they were supposed to have their house built by this month, and it never happened, so I did send a letter, went through Attorney Wendell, had him look at it, and send the letter to them saying that they have until September 20th to remove the house, the trailer house.
Do they have 2 years once they get that?
3.
They have 3.
And so 3 years ago, they were given it, like this gentleman, given a conditional use permit, and nothing's been done. So that was one of them. Another one, we had a trailer house, got a call that a trailer house was on a road up in Dix Lane up in Westford Township. She went and looked at it. There's 3 trailer houses plus a house on the property. It's zoned ag forestry and in ag forestry it says prior non-conforming. So I did have a talk and I did send a letter that they were replacing one of the trailers with this one, but I said they have to remove by, it was March 1st we decided, we sent a letter saying by March 1st, the other 2 trailers are not livable, they have to remove it. And I also said, even though it says it's, right now they're still okay with the prior non-conforming, that once we pass the code of ordinances, that no more, they'd have to come through and get a conditional use permit to be able to put a different trailer house on that, but that they have to remove the other 2 unlivable ones by March 1st, we decided. So they have been sent letters. So that's been kind of our issues we're dealing with in the office.
One more thing. I think another issue is we don't have the Wisconsin fund for failed septics grant money. So I've had several 3-year maintenance forms come back showing, indicators of failing septics. And so I send out the letter, just our basic letter, to these people saying, your septic is not compliant. We would like to help you bring that into compliance. So contact a plumber. Then I send the list of plumbers as well. And so we've had, I think, 2 people I've talked to now just concerned about money. And one guy is saying that he's not going to get his fixed until in 2 years when he's financially ready and so forth. So I guess I don't know. I just told him that it would be nice for him to get in contact with a plumber so we can identify the issue. But he was trying to tell me that he already knows the issue. So I guess I did send the letter. He's aware of, citations that could be issued if it's going to lead to environmental issues and so forth.
So we don't have grant money, is that?
Well, I think the grant money, I think we had one, the owner has to apply and they have to meet
Income
requirements. And so they can apply for it. We can help them apply for it, I think, but.
So it's actually not going on right now at all. Like the Wisconsin doesn't know if they'll be doing it this year.
Yeah.
So, but if it does, I still have to talk more with Jeff and possibly Matt about this on how to do it because they give me all the information and then I have to be quick to get it to the state. I'm not sure how to do that stuff yet.
Yeah,
so. But these other 2 people I've sent to Iowa County's USDA Rural Development. And I was told that they possibly have at least loans that they can help with failing septics. So I'm just kind of waiting to hear back because I did send an email to their office as well.
So right now we have 3?
There was 2 that I've been in contact with directly that don't have the financial stability to fix it. But then there was 2 more that Matt has already dealt with that have done applications for the Wisconsin fund. So if that were to go in place, we would have 2 for that I know of.
Any questions for zoning information? Okay, Kathy, do you want to talk about conservation?
Well, first, some of you know him, but this is Derek Warner. He is one of our conservation technicians, and I'll let him talk a little bit about himself and what he does.
So I took over for Kenny Anderson, the conservation technician before me. As of late, we have finished up on 3 of our projects, which were riprap projects along Marshall Creek, and there was some on Fancy Creek as well. They were erosion problems. They were inside of a pasture, so we were doing those to help reduce phosphorus into the streams and to keep our streams healthy. So part of the problem with those was that they were in the pastures, and the soils in a couple of those locations were not very good of soils. So like there were sandy soils. So like these last huge floods that we've had this spring really actually took out more banks. So we actually had to update our plan a little bit and add a few more feet to each of those sites. We are doing some mall abandonments. I have one right now that's going to be going into a cost share contract for a gentleman. We had a second one. I don't know if he's still planning on doing it or not through us, or he's going to get it abandoned one way or the other. Just doesn't know if he's going to do it through us, because I think he was assuming he was going to get a whole new well out of the cost share project.
Which is what we don't do.
We don't have that kind of money. So we're dealing with that. Other than that, I have one more project that needs to get put in. And that's based off of kind of what the farmer does with his fields. He has one that's right next to a cornfield, a bend in the stream. It's a riprap project. He doesn't know if he wants to take out some for us to get it in this year. We are on a deadline, so September 15th or 17th is the end of the season when we can start to put projects in certain locations. I do stay in touch with Justin Haglund from the DNR. He kind of lets me work outside of him, kind of gives me permission to extend outside of that date if possible in trout streams. And they base that off of how the trout populations are doing in certain streams. He does have another site that is not near his cornfield. So I think one way or the other, we will be getting one of those sites in. Just don't know if we'll be able to get the second one in. And that money was from last year that we had extended into this year. So hopefully we can do both, but if not, at least we can get one of his sites done and maybe do something next year with the other site if we can get it in sooner. Because we already have the plan done for that. The plan's approved. It's been approved for a while. Just a matter of when we can get it in. And the floods this year kind of pushed all of our projects back. So besides that, there's a non-metallic mine over by Sextonville. It's the Neef quarry, and that one is close to being completely reclaimed. There's a few rills in the soil where the rains and stuff had, made some arrangements over there. So I had asked the contractor to go back out and to fix those and then reseed topsoil, then reseed over top of those. And that's all I will need for reclaiming that one. Everything else around it looks great. There's actually a lot of vegetation. There has not been any activity of any sort, taking any sand or anything out of there. I know last year and early this year, we had quite a few complaints about it.
But actually, this is where I was talking to Julie this morning. That goes back to, we did not realize the mine she was actually talking about at a meeting about 6 months ago. That's not it's the one that's not permitted, which is on, I don't know, it's Old Sextonville Road. It's the back way off of 14. Yeah, somebody has been removing sand and selling it to people, and they have no mining permit. So I have sent a letter. I went to Tree Wendell, he looked at it, I sent it, and I said, you have to cease and desist until you get a non-metallic mining permit. And so I haven't heard anything back. I sent it probably a week and a half ago. And so the next couple of days, if I don't hear from the owner, I'm going to contact Attorney Wendell and see what our next step should be. So we did not realize that the other one that Julie was talking about was actually a different site than the one we talked about. We thought we were talking about the one that was reclaimed.
But I did go out and actually look at this other site that doesn't have a permit, and they are actively using it. I had taken pictures and stuff, and
No wonder the person was complaining. So I had an individual that lives near this sand mine, and the one that they're referring to, contacted me about, they were taking trucks in and out very late at night, like 11 o'clock at night, 10:30, 10 o'clock, whatever, very late. And just, was just a lot of trucks, a lot of traffic, and that's why, is because they really didn't have the license. So unfortunately, there was the miscommunication about that. I didn't realize there was the other, thought I had stated it was on that old Sextonville Road, but they probably were just, Kathy was probably just thinking about the other one, so I didn't know about the one and she didn't know about the other, and there was that confusion. So that it kind of explains everything, so good to know that that's being handled now, and I'm surprised I haven't received another call. I have driven by there many times and not seen any activity there, but
They
of
still
course
have
I've not
equipment out
driven
there.
by at 11 o'clock at night. I guess after we talked, I thought it was all kind of
Yeah, it was,
taken care of, but.
no, it wasn't me, yeah, that
Or
was,
Katrina had another citizen come in that was very, very upset.
About the
He
same
called
one?
me, yeah, and
wonder
so
if
I
it was
went
the same
down.
person. We'll talk later.
And, yeah, so then I kind of got involved, and then we all started teaming up and working together, and pretty soon we kind of got it all under control, figured out, and yeah, pretty soon Derek's out there, and Katrina and I are looking on the maps, and Kathy's involved, and we got Attorney Wendell involved. We are now the Scooby-Doo Detective Agency. We haven't, but yes, we
got it figured
and they are in very close proximity.
Yes, they're right
so
next to
that's
it.
what the confusion was easily
Right
understood.
around the corner, and when you look at the map, you see a big quarry
Yes.
that was being used, and then you see, if you actually pay attention and look a little closer, there's a small little spot in the field that's been taken out of, so.
Yeah,
Just
so,
missed that.
and this time, this time too, this report was very, very early in the morning.
Okay. Yeah.
Not late at night, but this one was early in the morning, and, I've attempted to have conversations and different things, so, yeah, but we got to the bottom of it. That's the most important thing, and so we're taking action on it. Hopefully we will get somewhere with it, and, doing what we need to do to make sure they have the appropriate permits, or they cease what they're doing, one way or the other.
we have our first livestock sighting permit, Trillmore Farms off of State Highway 130. I received information, I've never done one before, so I'm reviewing things. I've got to they're not putting it, they're expanding the herd, and they're putting up a new livestock freestall with a reception tank, and then the stuff in the reception tank is gonna be put, via pipe put into the existing manure storage unit. So I have to have Department of Ag engineers look at the reception pit and that, making sure that meets code. But I have to see what I'm gonna be working with Department of Ag to kind of go through the application, making sure I've got everything I need. And have the engineering staff from Department of Ag look at the plans from the manure storage part of it. And if everything looks okay, then we have to do public notice, and we'll be doing it at the October meeting, as we'd have a public hearing with the neighboring, same thing like this, neighboring landowners. So just want to give you a heads up, that'll be coming. And then fair's coming up. We've got to get they've got new keys for all the buildings, so I gotta get some keys from Josh. We have to go out and clean out the building, and we're talking about later after this meeting and stuff, we're gonna sit down as a staff and figure out what we want to have in there. Now that we got zoning as part of it, we were looking at, she's gonna talk with Mr. Brubaker too about if they have anything for displays with sanitation type stuff. It'd be nice to have something like that in there, because it's it's an environmental thing too, making sure that, so we'll have the conservation building open during the fair, and he's gonna try to get the furs from DNR, and
It's approved, I gotta talk to him again about
Yep.
when I can pick up.
yeah, so kids like the furs. So I can't think of anything else at this point, so.
I guess
Any questions? Nope. Okay, move on to the UW extension.
So I'll try to keep this relatively short for you guys, just give you a couple quick highlights of what's happened in each of the program areas. 4-H, Kathy Fair's coming up, so there's been a lot of fair prep here lately. But also the beginning of August was our 4-H camp, so kids go up in woods for 3 days. That's a camp that we combine with a full area, so 5 counties in area 13 all get together. And I think between 5 counties, there was like 120 kids that went up in woods for 3 days. So, and a pretty good crowd from Richland County. I can't remember the exact number, but a really good opportunity for kids to interact with other 4-Hers from other counties. There's also an exploring day, so a day for younger clover buds to learn about what are some of the 4-H projects out there. Our HD, so that's Carly Craddock, Sarah Kubiak, our human development relationships educator. Of course, she's relatively new, so she's been doing a lot of onboarding stuff with the state. But she's also been doing a lot one-on-one contacts now with our local stakeholders, really figuring out where she wants to develop and take her programming. On the the agriculture side, again, Beth and Anastasia have been meeting with different producers. Beth worked with the beef producers and presented at their annual field day. And it's got a beef quality assurance program coming in the fall. So kind of cool that there's programming now starting to happen in the agriculture side locally. Food wise, Monica has been working with the Hispanic food store and now has EBT access there. So it's been a project they've been working on, so people can use their food share benefits. Another local establishment here in Richland County, again, doing some different things and setting up her class schedules for with the schools. She's also been working with, can't remember, a senior home and doing some activities on nutrition and lessons for seniors in that residence. So that's just kind of the real quick overview of what Extension's been doing in a very elevated level. Any questions for me?
All right, thank you very much. So moving on to number 9, discussion, review of water quality in Richland County. This was something that was suggested at the last meeting to have on this agenda.
I did put in the folder, it's got the bedrock geology. And then I got a map of where the tests were, roughly, people did the well testing in October of 2020. And then the results of the bacteria and nitrate. It's all 3 counties, but it kind of shows the red would be where there's issues. You see a lot of it, like for nitrates is along the Wisconsin River corridor, which makes a lot of sense. And then I got a little narrative in there about the fall testing results that at that point and the results. And then I did the same thing for the April 2021, like I did, and it shows, where the tests were taken and where the high nitrates were. And they didn't have a map for the bacteria, so that wasn't in there. So, and the results. I know Mr. Gill is involved in we have this resiliency group, and he's been starting to he went for the groundwater.
Groundwater team.
Yep. So he's part of the groundwater team and talked about things. The other thing we talked about, he and I talked one day after a meeting about, we have this Driftless Area Water Study Group, and Melissa Lucky used to be on this committee, was part of that, going to it, and I think it's important to have a county board rep just to talk about from your aspect of it. And so I suggested that they send an email, include Mark in that group. That and some of the things we're talking about is beyond like well testing, what else, we'd like to see what the group does in the Tri-County area, maybe some mapping of what we want to see with mapping groundwater. There's recharge, whatever else. Another thing that was talked about, I don't know if you were in on that after the regular meeting, but possibly doing, like, some counties have done, like in Portage County, they've done like a wellhead protection ordinance, which is protecting like the public water supply, but it would include, some of the protection is because of the zone going out would be in the rural areas of, say that we did something for Richland Center, maybe the rural areas might be affected too about watching what they do in those areas.
I just want to add that the last DAWS survey, the Difference Area Water Study, it's a 3-county project, and the last time we missed testing our wells because of budgetary constraints, it listed that right in the report, basically. And I'm hoping that we can get back into that study so that we have to fund it, basically. And there's different funding arrangements that we can make with orders so that they can get their wells tested. So, but I know that that's a big part of our budgetary efforts coming up here, so.
Would that have been since the spring of 2021?
Right, the other counties, 2 counties did, but we did not have the funds to participate, even at 50%. So one of the things I did put in the budget, I think, was doing like funding at 50%, the cost of doing like 100 wells. And we'll see what happens when it goes to county board.
Budget process. So when did the other counties do it then?
2023.
Yeah.
Do you know if there was any households that happened to be tested in both times?
I would have to look, I don't know.
Because there's testing that's happened. I know people that had their wells tested. The question is, do we have access to the database from Steve's point, that information? And I've got sort of different responses on that because they don't give out specific location information necessarily, but it's more of a general information. So.
And we don't get the information like so-and-so's wells tested. We don't get that. It's the general, like it shows on the map. We don't get.
And you wouldn't have any way to know that somebody tested in both just to see was there an improvement?
Oh, I can see which one. I have it. I just have to look it up here.
I'm just curious.
Yep.
But otherwise, if people wanted to get their well tested, would be to do it free, right? I mean, because
Free or
now
50%. Or we're talking 50%.
Okay. But if people wanted to get it tested otherwise, they could do that on their own. Right now,
Correct.
correct? And if they wanted to do that, where would be the best way to do that?
If they want to do it, they can, excuse me, there is a place in Lancaster that does well testing. And we'd have that information in our office. If they meet certain criteria, they can go to, if they have going to have a baby or have a young child, they can go to Health and Human Services.
And there's a charge for both places have it.
Mm-hmm.
You can also take it to Madison too, in Madison, since Steve's point.
Yeah.
But I think anybody can get a test kit at Human Services.
Yes.
Regardless of your status.
Correct.
Then you can follow the form and send it to wherever it needs to go.
Wherever it goes.
So those.
Just so the public is aware that they can still get their well tested.
Right, and then we send them to like Lancaster or something. That's the closest one. They could drive it there.
Any comments on this report? Other comments?
I just want to say, I think it's really important that we monitor our water quality in Richardson and other neighboring communities that have issues. And the way we can avoid issues is by being in front of it. And I report that we look at it and monitor and keep track of our water quality, because I know Fenimore just got a big issue at other places as well.
What is the recommendation for how often people should do it?
Once a year. This thing can change, like, you can end up with a cracked, don't not know you have a cracked well cap or, yeah.
And Sauk County has a real robust program where they're testing hundreds, and they do it for free. Hundreds of residents submit water quality. And I think that also be relevant for us. I mean, I'm sharing the same watershed basically here mostly, so we can find out a lot about our water quality based on our surrounding counties.
Pretty much color coded where
where we're having issues.
Yep.
It's right there.
Mhm.
I don't know if you have this information, Kathy, or not, but what have we seen over time as far as changes historically? Do we have trends, data, less?
See, I don't, I don't have it by year.
Okay.
I do know the trend is in Richland County, the worst issues with well stuff is along the lower Wisconsin River.
Right.
The sand, a lot of them were sand points that are starting to go away as people sell. That's, they're actually making them go deeper.
Yeah.
I know on the one meeting, they were talking, at the meeting the other day, they were talking about that there's two aquifers in Richland County. There's the upper aquifer and a lower aquifer, and they're now the DNR is making it go to the lower aquifer and not the upper aquifer. Because it's better water, it's better quality water than the upper one that has more opportunity for contamination.
Do we do testing for PFAS or forever chemicals? Is that part of a testing protocol?
That's not part of that, no. So I don't.
I don't know that we've had issues here necessarily. But
Yeah, I don't know. These well tests are just mostly nitrates, bacteria, that sort of thing.
All right, we're done with discussion there. We'll move on. Number 10, discussion duties of agent of the state for inspections.
So I know last meeting you wanted somebody to come in and talk, and I found out who to talk to at Department of Ag down in Madison, and it says, thank you for your interest. Please have the health officer for Richland County reach out to me at my contact information below, and I would be happy to assist and start the conversation. So it has to actually come through the health officer, which would be Health and Human Services.
Brandy.
Yeah, Brandy.
Okay.
So
our piece of it is the short-term rental, but obviously it covers other permits. And so that's why it's needing to go through the Health and Human Services.
So I don't know how to approach that, if I should just send it over, something over to Brandy or send it to you.
Well, I can meet with Trish and.
Yeah.
And ask Brandy to initiate that if that's the wishes of this committee.
Sounds
So
good.
investigate it. So I've still got this email, I can forward it on to you.
Forward that to me, please, yep, and then I can do that, that's wishes of the committee.
Perfect. That would at least try to get this conversation going so we can see if the county is interested in going that route. So. All right, moving on to number 11, discussion on possible action, approval of short-term rental ordinance.
Since the last meeting, Steve reached out to me and I made a few corrections, and that's what's in here. In your folder, if there's anything else, otherwise, after this meeting, I can send it on to Attorney Wendell to have him finalize looking at it and then go for, if that's okay with this committee.
I guess my question is going back to the beginning. Why, and the state does this, correct? They have an inspection program. So then, again, why are we sort of doing it on a county level when the state has that?
You're talking about the agent part?
Right, and they do
Yep.
inspections too.
Yep, they do. With the agent part, I think there's a big piece of that because it does cover more than just short-term rental, but it would help for the county to be able to do things and do the inspections, because as you can guess, if we had an agent here, it would probably be done much quicker than it would be done through the state. People then can get their license processed quicker. It does bring in some funding into the county as well and hopefully cover that extra employee that we would have to have if we didn't have an agent. They couldn't possibly take over all of the zoning area, couldn't take over all of that processing, all that, the issuing of the permits and everything that's involved with that. We would need to look at, does it make sense to hire another individual and the money involved and how the benefit to the county as well.
And one of the issues has been that of all the short-term rentals in Richland County, very few of them are licensed by the state. They've not gone and got their state license.
I think we looked and it was 9 or 10, and we know we have at least 100 or more.
Yeah, and then they found it like Vernon County, when they went switch to that, the local person finds out these things, and they can actually try to get these people
Enforcement.
get in compliance. And most of them, they're not doing anything wrong. It's just that
They weren't aware.
they weren't aware.
Yeah, and Vernon County, like she said, did switch to it and found that it was very beneficial in many ways for them. So we wanted to just look at it, see, is it something that we should be pursuing? But then, same token, we had started our zoning ordinance because we felt that it's, we're obviously way behind because we have under how many ever short-term rentals there are, but we want to just get an ordinance in place just to not get any problems. So when we were doing that, that's when we found out about the agent. Work together.
So it's okay, looks okay to you, I will pass it on to Attorney Wendell for one more final perusal.
Give
For
us
it comes back.
recommendations. Look how if there's anything we're missing or any verbiage needs to be changed legally, that kind of thing. Anybody have any input or anything they noticed? Questioned?
I don't, but I would definitely feel more comfortable, yeah, with another review here. There's a lot that I'm not aware of. And it's, you know, still learning some of this means.
All right, then I guess if you can send that on to him and we'll add it to the agenda next time.
Yep.
Review again after his recommendations. Number 13, discussion and possible action modifications to the Richland County zoning ordinance.
Wait, the winter storage ordinance is first.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, it is, I'm sorry.
Basically, I brought it here a couple of months ago. We had a public hearing. I was kind of waiting the next step until we've gotten the fee schedule, and I think the fee schedule is almost ready.
Going in front of the executive committee in September.
So this is a good time, and I took the winter storage, or looked at the winter storage ordinance, it was in the code of ordinances, and updated it for the new, the updated winter storage ordinance. The biggest upgrade I had for that was going to, like, no minimum size. And taking effect, some of the stuff that's going in, some of these operations that are going in all over, these poultry operations are going in all over, and I can't regulate them, and I worry about contamination from some of these sites because they're high use. I don't know if we need to approve it here, or because it's in the code of ordinance, just it'll be approved there. I don't know what the step is.
I think you want it approved here first.
Yeah, so I guess that's what I'm kind of looking for, approval of the ordinances. I have it written, the updated one that's in your packet. Those are the major changes. It's that, and then having a system for compliance, certificate of compliance that we'd be issuing to any operation from this point forward.
Is the certificate of compliance, is that noted in here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And that'd be something we have to do, like work with Derek and have it looked at every year, and making sure they're getting the new management plan and all that stuff. That would be documented for anybody from this point forward.
The only things I noticed in there were, it's still referencing Land and Zoning Committee, Standing Committee, so it's abbreviated LZSC, and that's throughout the document. So I'm assuming that would be updated to the natural resources.
That's when I sent it to, I submitted it for the code of ordinance. I made those changes.
Oh, so you've already made those changes?
Not this copy, but the one when I sent it to Attorney Wendell for the updates.
You'll make those changes?
Yep.
Yep. Okay, and then of course, all the names and everything at the end, including the chair of the committee, chair of the board, and all the natural resources committee instead of land and zoning and all that.
Yep.
Current committee members. Anybody notice anything else? Okay, I guess I'm looking for a motion then to approve the manure storage and management ordinance with changes that we noted. Motion by McKee, seconded by Gill. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carried. So if you'll send that on. All right, so now we'll go on to number 13, discussion of possible action modification to the Richland County zoning ordinance.
I talked about the stuff that Katrina and I found, and one of the things that we'd like to address now, is we have a lot of these people coming in for land use permits on property that are zoned like ag forestry, and they're like less than an acre. And it's a legal parcel as far as according to, but it's not in the right zoning district. They don't need to be resurveyed or anything like that, and we were talking about doing, something like that would still have to come to the committee, but we wouldn't have to do a lot of research on it like we do with the new ones coming in, but make them come in for a rezoning permit, but just cover the cost of us sending out letters and public hearing notice and charge, what was it we were talking about?
125.
Charging them 125 instead of 500. Because we don't need a survey, we don't have to look at the survey, we don't need any of that thing. It's existing parcel that is just in the wrong category.
It's non-conforming that needs to be updated.
Correct. And we just kind of want, that's one of the things we were talking about, we kind of want your approval to go ahead with that and start doing them. It's not in the zoning ordinance, but we put it as a fee thing in the fee schedule.
So it would be added to this fee schedule that she's talking about. And then the full county board would approve that fee schedule. Would it be noted in that schedule then what changes you're making? And then this would be included as one of the.
Yeah,
changes?
it's one of the, I don't know, but that's one of the changes we put in there.
I mean, it would be good for board members to see these are the changes, if they were bolded or something. Any comments?
I know somebody that's trying to sell a property now, and because of this issue, it's $500. So if we approve this now, then it would go to full board, and they could wait until after it's 125. say.
Yeah, we're just looking at it, we just want to get people back. Not necessarily they're doing things wrong, but then if they're in the correct zoning district, when they come in for a land use permit, we know what we're talking about, what's allowed, Because ag forestry, they can do a lot more than they can in a residential one.
So are we going to leave these non-conforming until everything passes, or are we going to allow the department to start charging the 125?
I would assume it'd have to be approved by the county board
Okay.
before we can do that. We can approve it here, but then it would have to be approved on that fee schedule.
Yep, I think.
And then it's in the fee schedule we had to put in.
Right.
So that's
And the
wait
fee
till,
schedule isn't going to take effect until January 1,
Oh.
I believe,
Take effect,
not till January
Because
1.
this is just like a glitch in paperwork. It's not like you'd have to.
Yeah, right now, the fee schedule as it's written is the new procurement policy and the new fee schedule would all take effect January 1.
so these people would have to, we've got a couple, they'd have to wait till January 1, otherwise they have to pay the $500.
Or do we just disregard them and they don't have, because I mean, this one's been since June. And I don't know.
Well, I mean,
Are they trying to sell their property or?
No, they're just, so they ended up, I think, just buying it from their parents. And I brought up that it'll need to be rezoned then, because of the small acreage. And they were not too happy about the $500 and so forth, and I understand that 100%.
Yep.
So I said that we were gonna have discussion on this, and it was going to county board eventually. So we can just wait.
Well, in their case, is there any urgency? It just needs to get done, but
No,
they don't have, like, they're not trying, like, that person is trying to sell their property. They don't have any.
So right now they'd have to pay $500.
Till January potentially. And
Yeah, I think the only thing that I was kind of worried about is like potential backlash, I don't want to do it anymore now that it's been months since you brought it up or so. Like, are we able to enforce that on these people that have brought?
once we have a fee schedule and.
Because it'll already be after the fact, we've already permitted that land use permit, we've already let them do.
Well, but wouldn't this board be able to say, based on the pending schedule? I mean, it's a board decision, realistically, right? So even if the new fee schedule wasn't set to take effect until January 1, if you knew that that was pending.
If we had pending ones, once it's approved by the board, we can have any pending applications could follow that fee schedule even though it doesn't start until January? Is that what you're?
Correct. I mean, that's a board level decision. So realistically, if you as a board decide that any pending cases, because you know that that fee schedule is set to take effect January 1, you want to prorate based on the new fee schedule, isn't that an action? I mean, we could talk to Attorney Wendell and see if that would be acceptable.
Well, I would assume we could make that action and then the board could actually do the same. The full county board, could we have them do the same? Or how many applications are we talking about?
Well, I only have one actually filled out, but then there's several other people where I've brought it to their attention, you know, your land is not conforming to our ordinance, and we may have you rezone it, but I didn't have them fill anything out. So.
Which they probably aren't in any hurry as well, but the one that Elaine is talking about would be if they're trying to sell their property.
Right, and I know this one right here specifically was not happy about it because with it being turned into residential, he was upset that, you know, once he retires and so forth, he can't really have like a homestead, you know? So I think that was one of his biggest concerns, more than the money.
Mhm.
Well, I think we talked to Attorney Wendell if that's something that this board would wish to have a prorated amount until at which time the new fee schedule takes effect. If he doesn't see any legal issue with that, then if it's voted on.
We have to bring that to the next board meeting or our next committee meeting?
Well, if we take the fee schedule, the procurement policy and fee schedule are going in front of the executive and finance committee next month. Now, if they don't want any changes or they don't want any modifications, then it would go in front of full board thereafter. So then it would be October before this board could act again, right? Because
then
this
we
is
could-
the September meeting.
Right.
So,
But at the October one, then you're saying that once the board has approved that, then we could approve any starting right away versus waiting until January.
yeah, if you wanted the zoning to be changed effective immediately.
At least that part of it.
At least that one piece of it, we could talk to Attorney Wendell and see. And actually, we're meeting with Ben Connard. That's who's helped us write this procurement policy from Atolis Law. He's the one that Andy Phillips.
Okay.
They have been shepherding us through this procurement policy piece. And that's a question I could ask them as well is, you know, is there a problem with potentially, you know, prorating some of these to take effect immediately because there's a significant financial impact on some of these zoning pieces. Is there a way we could just go ahead and make those effective now so that people aren't having to pay a higher fee when the board doesn't feel like it's appropriate? So I could go ahead and ask those questions as well.
Is everybody good with that too?
Yeah. And it's basically to get existing non-conforming land into compliance. So we got them in the right zoning district, so you know what we're doing, what rules we have.
So it's a very specific one too. It's just the existing non-conforming.
Correct.
Okay.
All right, so we had discussion, but we will have no action then today, based on finding out from Attorney Wendell that's able to do that, and of course, the fee schedule be sent to the executive and finance committee. So we'll have that on our agenda for next month. And that's
500 down to 135
for that.
Okay, so number 14, discussion and possible action on the 2025 to 2027 land information plan.
The Land Information Council has been meeting, Todd has been part of it. Our county surveyor, we've been going through, we have to have it done in September. And technically this does not have to go anywhere beyond the Land Information Council as long as we get approval from them. But we thought we'd bring it to this committee just to show you what we're looking at. A lot of things have been done. Most of the section corners are done, even including the county line ones between the like Richland and Sauk, Richland and Vernon, Richland and Crawford. Some of the new things, and there's things in here in red, and it's just, this is things that we were, either questions we had, and Julie Lynn's has been doing the updating for us. So most of them are, some of the things we're looking at doing is adding a non-metallic mining layer. These are goals. It doesn't mean we're gonna meet them, but just, we have them in there. If there's money available, we can do it. We're getting a pouch layer, getting a non-metallic mining layer, getting the zoning layer public, because we get questions all the time. Well, what is my land zoned at? You know, and so we spend a lot of time with that. If they could go on the map and look at themselves, it'd be a start. One of the things for surveying is getting the section center corners, right, Todd? You know,
Centers of section.
thank you very much. I didn't say. So that's one of the things we were looking at doing. We have the LiDAR data, and there's some different things we can do with that. There's enhancements we can look at. They can do culverts, building outlines, flow accumulations, closed depressions. So there's some counties that have done it, and they can, like, as far as like zoning, and Derek can do more better on drainage areas and figure out. He has developed something called run of curve numbers, knowing where the drainage areas are. And right now he hand does it, and this would be, he'll put in a point, what is the drainage area for here? Katrina can look at building heights, where things are going with that. So just some enhancements on that. Looking at we work with like Ithaca and Rockbridge townships in the city of Richland Center, making sure the zoning, we have current zoning layers for them, so we'd be helping them out. So if somebody comes to ask, well, what's this zoned at? Well, Ithaca Township says it's zoned at this, and then Ithaca could have access and easier for them instead of having their own system on the computer. We'd like to, update the land use status. We've got some issues with the 8 dams that Richland County manages. 3 of them, we have their hydraulic shadows drawn out on the map. We'd like to have the other 5 done. What were some of the other things, Todd, that we put in there?
I know one of the things that had been brought up was, equipment for the zoning office, as far as the.
GPS and.
GPS is completely out of the zoning office. Office certainly needs that for going out on house inspections.
Be nice to have, and then, like I said, she can, well, if I get my license too, we can document where some of these new ones are going in, and so it doesn't have to be a public layer, but it could be just something inside, so she knows that she can look at a map and say, okay, this was built in this year, what kind of system was put in, where it's at.
Is that something that you're gonna be putting in the budget then?
It's in the land records budget. It's in the plan, so we can add it. We can put it when we apply for the grant in the 2025 grant we apply for this year. We could have, that maybe one of the things we put in the grant. This year's grant is, the big thing is the orthophotography. So, and the last page kind of goes over the budgets we're talking about, and that includes new equipment. That was like some of the zoning, the GPS zoning equipment. Just a lot of things. And if we can do everything we want, it's in a 3-year period, it's $381,000. If we won't be able to do it all, but if we don't have it in there, we can't do it. So, any questions? I know I kind of went through it fast. It's a big plan, but.
No questions? It says on your possible action, are we needing to approve that?
You don't have to, but it may, it's up to you. It's always gone before the zoning land information committee before.
And has it always been an approval process?
Just, it doesn't have to go to county board, but just.
Okay, we might as well do it then if it's been done that way in the past. All right, so I'm just looking for a motion to approve the 2025-2027 land information plan as presented. Motion by Hendricks, seconded by Gill. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carried. All right, so we are on to number 15, discussion and possible action sending certified survey maps to the Department of Administration Plat Review Unit for their review.
And this is like a Katrina Todd, so let those two handle it.
Oh, you want me to lead this discussion? That's fine. I'm Todd Rumler. I'm the county surveyor. I've been county surveyor since I think 2015 or 2016. So I do some work behind the scenes. I don't do a lot of work on behalf of the county because the budget isn't there. But when I became county surveyor, one of the first things I talked to the then zoning administrator about was getting the Department of Administration Plat Review Unit to actually review the incoming certified survey maps for the county. It's traditionally been that the county zoning administrator has reviewed those maps, and then there's a whole lot of checks that need to be done to those maps before they become a recorded document to make sure that they're in compliance with state law, state codes, and then county ordinances. And like I said, the zoning administrators have been traditionally filling that role of trying to do that review. The problem is that zoning administrators aren't surveyors, so they aren't completely familiar with all the codes that these maps have to meet. And goodness knows the zoning administrators have enough to do already as it is. So what has been happening is not only have the zoning administrators been doing their review, but at the time the county had Lynn Newkirk as the GIS technician. She was doing the review. So she was looking at making sure all the numbers, the math worked on the maps and so forth. But since we've lost Lynn to retirement, that's gotten a little bit more difficult. And of course, MSA, who is the contracted GIS firm that does the work for the county, they have been helping. As I understand it, they've actually set up Katrina and Julie Lynn's the real property lister with a program to be able to check the math on these surveys. But it still comes down to a lot of statute and a lot of administrative code that, for instance, Katrina's not familiar with. It more applies to surveyors specifically. So I approached the previous zoning administrators about this, and I said, hey, we've got the state agency up in Madison that's more than willing to take on this review because they're already reviewing subdivision maps. That's what they do there all day long, is they review subdivision maps, but they will also review certified survey maps, which are basically a mini subdivision plat is what it amounts to. And they certainly will take that on. One of the counties that I work in is Crawford County, and they already do that. So they don't have a countywide zoning over in Crawford County. But when a certified survey map comes in, they want to make sure all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. So they send that into the state, and the state DOA plat review does their review for them. Now, they still have to review the maps for county compliance issues. So anything that affects like county zoning or anything like that, that would still be the zoning department's responsibility to review. But as far as making sure that that map meets all the survey requirements in the Wisconsin statutes and the Wisconsin administrative codes, plat review is going to make sure that happens. So the pushback I got on bringing that up to the previous zoning administrators was, one, it could increase the review time. I think right now by ordinance, the county zoning administrator has 20 days, I believe, if I'm correct, there to complete their review of a certified survey map. Now that may have to be extended out. My thought was that could be extended out to 30 days. And there probably will be some complaining about that, well, it's already 20 days, it could go to 30 days. But generally, when these certified survey maps are coming in, there's a rezoning involved with that. And as everybody knows, it has to go through, a rezoning has to go through the town first, so there's usually a month involved there. You get on your town agenda, and then it has to come to the county, and it comes to this committee, and then it finally has to get to county board. So a rezoning change or a zoning change usually takes from 2 to 3 months is what I generally tell my clients. So if we were to extend the review period for CSM out to 30 days, that's only a month. And if there's a zoning change involved, that could be going on at the same time as the zoning change is happening. So it really isn't going to add any time to the process, I don't feel. The other pushback I got on this issue was the added fee. So currently it's $120 to do a review of a one lot CSM, plus it's $25 for each additional lot on that. And Katrina, you could probably tell them better than I can what Plat Review was going to charge for their end of the review on that.
I had a brief phone call with someone at the office, and they said it was $100 per CSM. And also just to add that Kenosha, Price, and Walworth are also using this to help review CSMs.
And in reality, when they come in with the CSM, we could have them write a check to the plat review and send it in with it. And then no money would have to come to the county, it would just be. And it's sort of like when we have certain things recorded, they pay a fee that goes to zoning, and then it goes, the recording, it goes to then register deeds too. They write 2 separate checks. So I wouldn't think that would be an issue writing 2 separate checks.
I wouldn't think so either.
So you might be looking at a total fee, if you add $100 to that, to $225 or $220 to start. And then there's an additional $25 fee for each additional lot there, then that's the county fee. So, and these, and Katrina can correct me if I'm wrong here, but as I understand the process, Plat Review will accept these maps transmitted electronically, so she can actually just email those right up to Madison, and there's no, there's no having to put them in an envelope and mail them up and postage and all that. They'll do it all back and forth electronically. The same way with the review letter, when the review letter comes back, Plat Review will say, well, the surveyor needs to fix this, this, and this on here to be in compliance with state requirements. And they'll send Katrina back that form letter, and then she can forward that on to the surveyor.
So we just have to figure out how to the money, if they give and we have other things where they give the money, everything comes into the county, and then we cut a check once a month to them for the number. So I know with non-metallic mining, there's a DNR fee we collect along with the county fee, and then we send a check once a year to the state. The non-metallic mining is once a year supposedly, but usually. But with this, we'd have to work with the clerk's office and make sure we had it set up so that, then we would write up an invoice and, or whatever, and have Miranda cut a check to the state for, say we had 4, okay, $400.
So when we had to resubmit it, so in your example where there was changes that needs to make, then the surveyor would have to make the changes, Katrina would have to resubmit to the state. And so would there be another charge then, another 125?
I don't think she'd have to resubmit to the state. I think it would just be a verification of, did these
changes occur?
Did these get fixed?
Okay.
Yes, yeah. So that's something that Katrina would probably have to do in the end. But she's not trying to navigate pages and pages of state administrative code and statute to make sure that map is initially in compliance. Plat Review is going to do all that.
Okay.
Right.
And yeah, be like each on her and Julie. So.
All right, any other discussion or questions? So I guess I'm looking for a motion to approve sending the certified survey maps to the Department of Administration Plat Review Unit for their review. Motion by Woodhouse, second by Hendricks. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thanks, everyone, for your time and listening.
Thank you for staying through that very long meeting. Number 16 is correspondence. Do you have any correspondence?
No, that did, just things we sent out.
Okay. Future agenda items, we already have some, that we have on there. Any other future agenda items anyone has thought of, like to add?
Something I guess it didn't come up and it's actually should be under the zoning thing. County board, do Katrina and I need to come to county board every month for the rezonings? You want us there, or do you think the chair or committee, vice chair?
Typically, Steve, has been speaking about those, I believe. Right?
So-
You haven't been, neither of you have been coming.
Yeah, she came.
Oh, you do? Yeah, you were there, that's right.
And the last month before, she and I both came,
Oh,
so.
okay. That would probably be a Steve question. He's the chair of the committee, so I'm just the vice
Yeah.
chair.
It just, not that we don't want to be there. And if something comes up, there's a way to get a hold of me and I can,
I would say if they're pretty cut and dry ones, you probably wouldn't need to be there. He could do that.
Yep.
Probably this next one, this, campground.
no, that doesn't go to county board.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's a conditional use permit. So that one we don't have to worry about the other two. We only just approved the one. Yeah, I mean, if it's something that, there might be a lot of questions on maybe, but I guess that would be
I'll talk to, okay, we'll talk to
Steve Carroll's
Mr. Carroll. Okay.
decision there, because he would be the one speaking in your absence.
I know in October I'm gonna have to be there for a grant, so I'll be there for that one, but.
All right, and you already have some future agenda items?
Yep.
Yep, hearing none others, I will just continue on. I'm looking for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So,
Motion by McKee, second by Woodhouse, adjourned at 11:52 PM. AM.
I go like,
See, it was 11:52 PM.
That's it.